What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Chris Pennell here, breaking down the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis as we're trying to go kiss the bricks this weekend over in Indy. Not exactly expecting the best race in the world. It's pretty difficult to pass at Indy. It can kind of turn into a train. There is a reason they left this track for several years for the road course, but the road course ended up being a bit of a mess. So we're back on the oval for the second time since last year. Kyle Larson's last year's victor ended up having the best fuel strategy with the full tank at the end of the day. And I'm not expecting much. Like I said, maybe we get some pit strategy, some fuel strategy. Once again, bring back the burn bar, whatever it may be. But on-track stuff, it's a bit iffy. Anyway, if you're brand new here, what's up? My name is Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sunday, planning for around 1 p.m. Eastern, so be there, be square, always a good time. If you do end up enjoying today's video, make sure you have a like down below, subscribe channel for brand new. Let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Indy. So roster construction wise, there's not that many laps this weekend. So as I always say, for Pocono, it's almost a road course build that can kind of be applied to the Brickyard. It's a large oval flat track like Pocono, but Pocono is a triangle, so it's really hard to draw any comparisons to any other track to Indy. But if we were going to, I would say it's Pocono, just as far as distance is concerned, and also being a flatter style track with a similar amount of laps. Not that much dominator points. Now, it's nice if you do get the main dominator and they happen to win the race, finish in the top 5 like a road course. But depending on how qualifying goes, it may just more be a place differential / finishing position race. Or if we get, like, say, Denny Hamlin on the pole, I'm sure he'll have quite a bit of interest there as he is the favorite heading into this weekend. I'm going to show you a couple of figures this week, but to be honest, I wouldn't read too much into them because we just have a lack of data for Indy. Hopefully, I haven't looked at weather. Hopefully weather is going to be good for this weekend because last week, I mean, it went well. I mean, the guys we expected to do well pretty much did well, but it just would have had more confidence seeing some lap data, things like that heading into Dover, especially with the new tire. But we are using the tire that we ran at Pocono earlier this year, Charlotte, and Michigan. So at least there's a little bit of data there anyway. But this first figure that we're looking at is going to be, again, like I said, it's I think 4 races at Pocono plus 1 Indy race. So this is basically just Pocono. And as you can see, it's Denny Hamlin in the very top right. But again, this is basically Pocono. I'm not sure how much that will translate to Indy. But there's only 2 large, massive flat tracks on the schedule. And this is what we got. And it's basically Denny Hamlin and everybody else. He was running well last year. Ended up breaking out, I believe, in one of the overtimes. Pretty sure he wrecked out on lap like 161, so killed his day. I forget where it was beforehand, but after Denny, Chase Elliott, Blaney, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, who's surprised? And the next figure we're looking at is just how drivers have performed at the intermediate style tracks this season. So it's basically just anything that's not a short flat track, a road course, or a super speedway, because I'm not saying Indy is an intermediate track, but we're just going to call it a larger track, just a non-short flat track, I guess, because it's all we have to work with. And as always, William Byron's at the very top. Outside of like 1 or 2 races this year, he always qualifies inside the top 5. He runs inside the top 5, and sometimes he leads a lot of laps. Sometimes he blows the lead at the very end, like he did at Michigan, I believe. I don't think that happened at Charlotte. Pocono kind of did the same thing. But yeah, it's just the William Byron show, typically, as far as just being the best overall guy the whole weekend. He usually practices well, qualifies well, runs well. Doesn't mean he's always going to win, which he has not been doing at these regular style tracks. Hamlin's next. Makes sense to me. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney always tends to get a little bit lower in the average running position just because of his poor qualifying efforts. So when you have to work your way through the field throughout the entire race, your average running position is not going to be as nice when you're William Byron, who qualifies P3, compared to Ryan Blaney qualifying P23. Kyle Larson tends to do that sometimes as well, but guys like Hamlin, Reddick, Byron, all usually pretty good qualifiers. Elliott's up there. The forwards, Chase Briscoe has ran pretty well. He's gotten better for sure. I think earlier in the season he was kind of getting lucky with his finishes. Definitely his average finish compared to his average running position was not making too much sense to me. But now he qualifies well, he runs well, and he's a kind of a threat to win the race most of the time. So not surprising if we see Briscoe run. Once again, like he looks a little bit better than, say, Christopher Bell on this list. Right there with Joey Logano, not too far off of Ryan Blaney, so definitely don't sleep on him either. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown, but I do have to mention one thing first, and it's a free video, guys. Let me do my plug and feed the dog. But if you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, or NFL coming up very soon, baseball going on every single day, link is down in the description or the pinned comment for the Patreon. If you are a new user, you can sign up completely free for a week and test drive all the tools that I have to offer. But I'm very excited for NFL coming up. Like NASCAR this season, definitely been working on some new projects and very excited for the year. And I won't mention every single thing on here that you get, but if you want to pause or a screenshot, be my guest. But you're not find this amount of data or tools available to you at these price tags anywhere else, especially if you're from just a single person working on it all. But got the optimizer for DraftKings and FanDuel, the DraftKings contest sim tool, which is really cool. You can sim it to 10,000 lineups at once, and you can use it for whether you be in cash games, GPPs, large field, small field, whatever it may be. You can tailor suit it to whatever kind of contest you are using each weekend. And I cover trucks, Xfinity, and the Cup Series whenever they have races. And plus we got the Discord as well. So if you want to come in, check it out, I'd love to have you. If not, that's fine, but let's dive right into it. All right, it's the next day. Practice and qualifying has concluded. We were supposed to have a 50-minute session on Friday, ended up getting rained out, but we did get like a 25-30-minute session right before qualifying on Saturday afternoon. So it still worked out. Obviously less data than we could have had, but I'm not going to complain. So let's head over to the practice data. And as you can see, there's going to be quite a few chalky plays here. Denny Hamlin right off the bat, Blaney in the 20s, Chase Elliott in 30th, Ross Chastain in 33rd. So, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some chalk this week, that's for sure. Let's head over to the practice data here, and we will go over some of these numbers, although I'm not really sure how much I want to put into practice because, I mean, John Hunter Nemechek's the fastest man in town. Obviously didn't qualify like that. Eric Jones is up there. Couple of guys make sense, you know, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. I don't know, it seems a little bit all over the place. I'm not really sure how much we should put into it much. We'll look at the lap by lap data here, and as you can see, we have the two legacy cars, Nemechek and Jones, up at the top. And I mean, they might be okay in this race. I just don't think they're going to be dominant cars. Keselowski's up there. He did do a Q. I think he did a Q run at the end that he said. That might have bumped his numbers up a little bit. AJ Allmendinger, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch. You're going to see, I have this sorted by just their lap averages, obviously filtering out some outlier laps. But you're going to see Catherine Legg down there. Denny Hamlin's really, really low, but he was also one of the best cars. And if you guys were watching qualifying, yes, he's in the very back. He wrecked his car, but he was going to get pulled by like 3/10. He was putting down a blistering lap as the fastest man in the one lap in practice. And if you're looking at his best raw 3, 5, 10 laps, he's pretty much at the top of the board. So it'll be interesting to see how much he can move to the field because, as we know, it is very difficult to pass at Indy, and track position is huge. I listened to his podcast this week. I'm pretty sure he said all those things. So yeah, he knows it, and I'm sure he's very upset about him just wrecking it at the end of his Q lap. Ryan Blaney's down here pretty low, so is Chase Elliott. If we sort this by a different category, we're ranking some of the best raw laps as far as 1, 3, 5, 10 lap. If you did not run 5, 10 lap, it's going to skew it a little bit, so I would bump those guys down. Bullock is not up here. Him and Legay should be at the very bottom. But what's interesting is we're going to see Chase Briscoe down here at the very bottom, and then he throws down a Q lap. Like, I don't know how much I want to put into practice at all. Blaney was pretty slow in practice. Denny Hamlin, let's rank it by that. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, those kind of guys, they get bumped up quite a bit. William Byron's up there as well. So it just feels kind of like a mess. I'm not really sure if we should put into it. If we're going to look at the drivers that had the least difference as far as their lap times, I don't know if that really is going to tell you much of a story. Guys that had the biggest discrepancy, Bell, Hamlin, Hocevar. So I don't know. It just seems like a bit of a mess. I'm not going to focus on it too much. The only issue is there's not really much Indy data because we have been at the road course. We did run here last year, few mileage race at the end. Kyle Larson won. Other than that, we kind of have Pocono, and the tire we're using this weekend, I think it's part of it has been used at Pocono, Michigan, and I believe Charlotte. I don't remember exactly. I said it earlier in the video, so just rewind if you forgot, like myself. But I have it all. I have all the data already, so it's not like we're missing anything. But we'll go driver by driver. We'll break this down the best that we possibly can. We don't have that many laps this week, so like I said earlier, kind of almost a road course style build because we're going to have strategy. It's a track where there's not really any tire wear, so you can pit early. Some guys will, depending on when we get cautions and things like that, could get a bit weird. All right, so we'll start with the 5-figure range first. That's Chase Elliott and up. And Denny Hamlin is going to be the talk of the town. He will be the highest owned driver on either site, the most expensive driver, but for a good reason. He was the favorite heading in this weekend. He's been excellent at the intermediate tracks and also similar tracks and amongst other things. I mean, it makes sense because Pocono is our best comparable track to Indy. And who's really good at Pocono? Yeah, Denny Hamlin. It's a 5-race sample size I'm looking at. So it's one Indy race and just the next gen Pocono. Hamlin's been in the top 5 all but one race, has 2 wins, the best drive rating by far, the best running position by far. The next is at 11 compared to 6.3 for Denny Hamlin, and the most dominator points. So he was going to be on the pole. I mean, there was no question about that. And now he's starting dead last. So it's just a complete different view of him. We're going to play him as a dominator. Now we're playing him as a place differential guy that could potentially win the race. The only way he doesn't work is if he wrecks out. And with the lack of laps, it's not like last week it's over where you have to make the decision, well, do I want to play Chase out on the pole or do I want to play the guy with PD? Because, the guy on the pole can get 150 points. Guy with PD probably can't do that, but we don't have to worry about that too much this week, and it's very easy to fit him in either way. Ryan Blaney also has place differential upside. Was pretty slow in practice compared to Denny Hamlin, which is somewhat concerning because this is a track where track position is pretty important. I know we like Denny, but he starts dead last. What are you going to do? He'll move up. He's not going to be the slowest car. But Ryan Blaney, he could be one of those guys that gets stuck in like 15th or 18th. Hopefully not. I will still be playing him, especially on FanDuel where he's $11,500. He's like the 5th or 6th most expensive driver over there compared to the 2nd most over on DraftKings. So while he's both playable on both sites, definitely more of a FanDuel play for me. But I do like him. He's good at Pocono. He's been good at the intermediates this year. Just a little concerned of what I saw in practice, but I would be hard-pressed to believe he does not move up. Kyle Larson, 10-5 on DraftKings, 13-5 on FanDuel. I think probably a lot of people have a decision to make if they want to go Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson for like a potential race winner there, or you just want to go full PD with Hamlin and Blaney or Hamlin and Chase Elliott or any combination of those 3. I do not think Kyle Larson is going to project as well as guys like Denny or Chase Elliott. He should be right on par with Blaney, maybe just a tick higher because I'm assuming I'm going to have him projected to finish a little bit higher with some more dominator points mixed in, but I mean, Larson's in play in any format. Just I'm not going to call him a cash game staple by any means, just because we have those 2 massive PD plays of Elliott and Denny Hamlin. William Byron will be a pivot off of everybody. He should be the lowest owned driver of this 5-figure range. He's had some terrible luck, but it seems like that's what we always get with William Byron. It's not because he's been slow. He's actually been very fast. I did bet on him to win earlier in the week at plus 1,000. I believe showed a little bit of value there, and what do you know? He qualifies up high. He's probably going to run up top most of the race. It's just, if he doesn't dominate, it's going to be really hard to beat out those place differential drivers at that price tag. So I'll probably be a little bit lower on him just because of the starting position, the lack of laps that we're going to have, and it's not like he's a lock to dominate by any means. And Elliott, I'm putting him in a similar pool as Denny Hamlin, not going to project as well. You get the 9 extra spots with Denny, and he was the man in practice, but obviously still a fantastic play. And if you are playing cash games, you probably want to start with Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. All right, we go to the 9K range. We have a couple of plays here that could potentially dominate this race in Tyler Reddick and Chase Briscoe. Briscoe has been a master of qualifying, and earlier in the year, I thought he was going to get a little bit lucky with his finishes. Average running position, green flag speed-wise, compared to how he was finishing, I think would indicate that. But he's kind of flipping it around where he's qualifying well, he's running well, he's finishing well. We saw him win Pocono. Was not the best car at Pocono. He was good, don't get me wrong, but the fuel strategy ended up working in his favor. But it's a similar situation here for the Brickyard. The only issue is when you're starting on the pole for a track that doesn't have like 300, 400 laps, things can get a little bit risky if things don't go perfect. But I assume he's going to be quick. This is also his home track, so he's got that working for him. So I don't mind Briscoe. I mean, I would obviously prioritize guys like Elliott and Hamlin first in my lineup. But if you can fit him in as a potential dominator, by all means, go for it. I think Tyler Reddick's in a similar category. I probably will have Reddick projected a bit better. Personally, finished 2nd here last year and should be good. He's usually good at these larger tracks. So I like both as potential dominators. Probably a slight preference to Reddick because you get the 3 extra PD spots. Bell is fine. Not a priority. I mean, I like the other PD plays more, but if he fits in your lineup, he's okay. Yeah, I mean, he's just one of those guys where he's in the middle. I think Bell is somewhat cheap, and he should definitely be a top 10 contender. And if you're looking at the sample size of tracks for him, it's just Pocono and Indy last year. Average finished inside the top 10, 3 top 10s, 4 top 15s, not usually in the top 5. Probably finished anywhere around 5th to 10th, which it's okay. I mean, he's definitely in the player pool for sure. Chris Buescher is going to be a large field tournament play. I just don't think his down upside is as much as guys like Briscoe or Tyler Reddick. Probably going to be around like Christopher Bell, 5th to 10th place, but he starts further up, so it just doesn't make it as appealing for DFS. Dropping down to the 8K range, we have Logano leading us off in 15th. We have Keselowski in 14th. We have Kyle Busch in 12th. They're all very similar plays, and they're probably not going to just jump off the page to me. They're just guys that I usually expect to run around 10th to 15th, 10th to 20th place. So not super interested. Ty Gibbs also in a tough spot starting at 5th. I'd probably put him in the same pool as Chris Buescher as far as just being like a fringe 5th to 10th place driver, which doesn't scream value for where they're starting at these price tags. Ross Chastain should be the chalk here in this range. He is free on FanDuel, not free on DraftKings, but the price is nice. Unfortunately, the sample size of track data that we are looking at for Ross doesn't look appealing. 24th in average finish, 20th in running position, and only 2 top 15s to show for. At this price tag, you don't need much, so I don't mind it. I don't think he's a lock. There's definitely ways that Kyle Busch finishes 6th in this race, and he ends up being better than Ross Chastain. I think Bowman would probably be a pretty interesting pivot off of a guy like Ross Chastain. I really like the Hendrick car. And Bowman, when things don't go wrong for Bowman, like we saw last week, he's got a pretty fast car most of the time. And if you're looking at his numbers here, it's a bit better than Ross. Running position inside the top 15, 3 top 15 finishes. But if you're playing cash games, totally understand. Just clicking Ross. He's probably only going to move forward in their strategy involved, and he could end up 14th, even if he has a 23rd place car, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. So, like Ross the most here, then I think I'm going to have a good amount of Bowman because I just always tend to when he doesn't start near the very front. 7K range, looks like we just have some tournament plays here. I don't see anyone looking like absolute locks by any means. You have Hocevar in 8th. Impossible to trust him. Bubba Wallace could be a cheap dominator. I would throw him in the cheap dom pool. I would say him and Briscoe are really not that far apart, even Tyler Reddick. And if you're looking at the sample size of just the bigger flat tracks, which isn't much, but 3 top 10s, 4 top 15s, does have a top 5. I mean, at this price point, Bubba probably is underpriced. The only issue is he starts 2nd, so he has to have things go perfectly for him. But if he finishes 4th with some fast laps, of course, there's a lot more downside. His floor projection is going to be very low this week, even if his median looks somewhat okay. Just understand that's what you're dealing with, not a cash play, but he's in the GPP pool. Barry's speed has kind of gone away lately. He was not fast at Dover, which I thought was a pretty good setup for him, and he just struggled pretty much all day. It was outside the top 20, fell a lap down. Did have a speeding penalty, which really killed his day, but he was not fast at any point during that race, and that was kind of weird to see from Barry. Priest, we can probably get to. He starts outside the top 20. He has just been a guy that typically contends around the top 10, the top 15, so I will be on Ryan Priest here. And I think Cindric's just starting a little bit far up for me to have much interest. 6K range, I am seeing a few guys in the 30s. That's going to make things pretty appealing for DFS purposes. So to kick it off, we have Suarez in 31st, and then we're going to have John Hunter Nemechek in 36. And if people are looking at practice times, I would fully expect him to get seamed up in ownership. I mean, 2nd in the 1 lap, and then 1st in the 5, 10, 15. Like I said, I just feel like the practice numbers are a bit screwy, so I don't expect him to drive straight to the front by any means, but he can easily finish top 25, 20th. I mean, we've seen some really good runs out of John Hunter Nemechek this year, so he is probably going to be the best pump play, even though he's not in the 5K range, but I'd expect him to be very popular. Suarez just doesn't really seem to have it much these days, but at the same time, I mean, if you're looking at his Pocono/Indy numbers, which is basically just Pocono, 4 top 20s, 3 top 15s, 2 top 10s, top 5, average finish 16th. Like, he's cheap. He's probably moving forward. I don't think he's going to be fast, but he'll probably move forward. That's all you can ask for. Dinger SVG qualified extremely high. Not really sure what happened there, but I'm not going to be able to do that. McDowell's in a weird spot, starting in 22nd. It doesn't like completely X him out, but I don't really want to play him either. I mean, I'd rather play him over SVG, but that's about it. Eric Jones, way too high for me. I don't really see how that's going to work out. He needs an absolute perfection race and a complete outlier, which is, yes, it's possible, but not something we should really expect to happen often. And Austin Dillon's kind of in a dead spot with Michael McDowell. 5K range, not really seeing anything just completely pop off the board here. I mean, you have Stenhouse in 32nd. We know he has top 20 upside most weeks. I could be a little bit interested in him. I could be interested in Zane Smith starting in 27th. Other than that, Ty Dillon, he might not project the best, but at the same time, Ty Dillon has $1 million on the line. So if anyone's going to do anything to put themselves in position to potentially get a top 10 to compete with Ty Gibbs, because Ty Gibbs is starting in 5th, so he needs a Hail Mary here. Ty Dillon might be able to do something that gets them around 9th place just by an absolute miracle based off a strat. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe they cheat a little bit this weekend, but there's $1 million on the line. And maybe NASCAR gives them a little bit something extra because they want this to actually be somewhat compelling to the audience, and they don't want Ty Dillon to run 30th all day and Ty Gibbs run 7th. So maybe there's a little bit something under the hood that they're going to let slide this week. So just don't rule out Ty Dillon just because we had the $1 million in line with the bracket. Other than that, I do not see much. Jesse Love is good in the Xfinity Series. Probably going to be pretty slow in the Cup Series here. Maybe some Cole Custer. But honestly, if you were just trying to fit in a couple of studs up here and you get stuck in this range, I can't really talk you off of too many. Just know that obviously Catherine Legg is going to be slow. Balicki will be slow. Cody Ware will be. But maybe Riley Herbst sticks it with a 23rd. Maybe Custer gets you a 26. It's hard to say because, again, practice was a bit screwy. None of these guys really showed too much. Herbst was the best in the one lap, and he showed that in qualifying compared to these other drivers, but nothing too exciting. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, even if you didn't, make sure you leave a like down below. Scratch channel for brand new. Any questions, comments, concerns, or check out the NASCAR Patreon and all the extra content over there. You can check the link down below in the description or the pinned comment. I'll see you guys tomorrow, probably around 1 p.m. Eastern for the live stream. Hopefully weather permits for the actual race. I wish you the best, and I'll see y'all next time.